The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
stationed atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized.
It's Wednesday, May 2nd, Thursday, May 3rd if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, live in the captain's chair from the Great White North in the Caribou region on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We're 150,000 strong nightly on the SOR radio network. You can also check us out live on Periscope.tv every Monday through Friday night. And if you want to know where our archives are hidden, guess what? They are free. All you do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, sign up for our archives. Just hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate that. Now, if you head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you hanging out there. You can do a little shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store. Rock out to some Bumblefoot. Read The Encounter online, dealing with everything paranormal, strange, and odd. My latest blog is in there as well. And we got great videos from UFO Seekers, from Tim Doyle, and Contact TV as well. Welcome all to tonight's show. We are about to get this thing going. It's going to be an interesting night as we take a path towards dowsing. Something we've never done on this show. I'm looking forward to it. Have you ever dowsed? I've never tried it. I know people who do. They fully believe in it. So tonight we hit a topic that we've never covered. For centuries, the art of dowsing has been used to find everything from water to oil to gold. It's an antiquated but useful way of using rods or a stick with a V in it, on the end of it, to find out where all the goodies that Mother Earth provides are hiding. Tyhson Banighen is someone who specializes in this field of research. His website, energydetective.ca, talks all about dowsing and the importance of learning the ability. Tyhson uses his years of research to teach ancient and modern technologies of transformation that are simple, straightforward, and can be easily learned by anyone. His goal is to empower people to bring about change in their lives, to heal themselves, others, society, and the planet. Tyhson Banighen, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. And I got to tell you, my friend, I have heard so many good things about you from Corey Greaves, who is helping us put on the Caribou Paracon, where you, with the Canadian Society of Questers, are going to be attending, and you're going to be speaking as well. So I'm very excited to get a chance to meet you and roll with this, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. It's good to be on your show. Yeah, I'm really excited. We're getting a bit of a buzz for this upcoming conference in the fall. With bringing together dowsing and paranormal. What could be better than that?
You know what? I really don't know. It's just one of those things that we're going to bring together. Is it even possible to get together? Is it even possible to get together? Now, a lot of our audience may not know who you are, my friend. So let's introduce you a little bit. How did you get into this whole field of dowsing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can't really remember. Oh, yeah, I think I can have a go at it. Yeah, I was. I had a partner at the time who knew how to dowse, and she had this big, huge pendulum, and I couldn't figure out what she was doing with it. And I tried it; it didn't work. And my friend Dave Cowan, who just recently passed on, went to a workshop with Raymond Grace, and he came back, and he was also a teacher for quantum. I think it was. I think it's a quantum. I'm not sure what QUIC. I think it is. You know, one of those things that they strap you up on that around the wrist, around your head, and they run this program. And there's like hundreds and hundreds of programs that they test you on, and then they run you back energy to counterbalance it. Anyway, he was a teacher in this area and very good at it. And he came back from this dowsing workshop and said, "Hey, Tyhson, look at this. I can do this and I can do that with a pendulum." I thought, wow. If he can do it, I can do it. And the amazing thing was in less than, about a month or 2 months, he was faster than the machine of the technology. He could dowse and be as accurate as the machine to calculate what was going on in the person's bioenergy field and what sort of corrections need to be made. So I was impressed by that. I thought, if he can do it, I can do it. So seeing is believing in my world. So I saw it and I believed it, and then I could do it.
Did you grow up in a life in your childhood, even into your education in college, where you believed in all of this stuff? What is your background there? Did you have weird, strange experiences or believe that things like dowsing were even possible?
No, not really. I mean, I lived sort of as, wondering who put me on planet Earth in the first place, and, when were they going to come and pick me up anyway, because it made no sense to me. So, I was like, I didn't understand the rules for planet Earth. Nobody gave me the guidebook. So I was a bit of an odd duck in that way. I never did fit in, and I realized that, that I didn't even speak the same language. So there was a part of me that was sort of weird and wonderful and already connected to a different way of seeing the world. But dowsing was not part of that. Nobody had introduced that to me, and I knew nothing about it. It wasn't until I actually saw it demonstrated to me that I actually then got interested in it. And since then, I've really come to believe that I call it training wheels for guidance on demand. So it's really the beginning way in which to be able to connect with Source or God or all that is, or however you want to, upstairs guys, or however you want to call it, to be able to get clear direction on how to move through your life with more ease and grace. So it's a powerful tool, but it's the beginning steps. Of course, one wants to be able to receive guidance so that it's clear, trustworthy, and accurate. And dowsing helps you learn how to do that.
Outside of dowsing, did you ever have any paranormal experiences or strange experiences you couldn't explain growing up or even through college?
Well, I always knew about George Adamski's work, and UFOs have landed, and and his experience being on a Vesuvian spacecraft and his experiences. And I read all of his books in the 1950s and the White Sands incident. And, I was quite disappointed that how come George Adamski could, have this message that he received and then show up in the desert and have the UFOs land, and he had this opportunity to go on board. So I was a bit jealous that then that never happened in my world, and there was no flying saucers that were landing in my backyard. And of course, not being the smartest kid in the block in the sense of living in a different world, I talked about it at school, which didn't go over very well either. In the 1950s, one didn't talk about those things unless one wanted to be ridiculed. But my grandmother had an experience with UFOs, and I've had experiences in Hawaii, when I was married. In the Haleakala crater, there was amazing experience in the night sky around the rim of the crater, very powerful. So I've been fortunate to have those sorts of experiences. I've had lots of experiences with people that have had, experiences on spacecraft. So, but it's not been something that I've actually had very much experience directly. But I do work with people that, have entities and things that go bump in the night and poltergeists and all those weird and wonderful things. As an exorcist, I deal with that realm and that reality, that other side that sometimes touches our reality and is all around us. But in our culture, nobody believes in that, or very few people believe in it. Probably people on your show, that's why they're tuned in, because they're interested in things that go bump in the night. But generally speaking, it's not something that is really very well known in our society. So indirectly, I've always had an interest in UFOs and extraterrestrials and belief that there's higher levels of consciousness, and that, as humans, we're not the smartest kids on the block, certainly not in the galaxy or in the multiverse.
What's your educational background that led you down this path?
Well, I somehow believed in the belief that once one went to university, one didn't succeed at what one was wanted to do. So I actually was traveling in Australia. I was when I was 21, and I felt that I needed to come back and go to university to make something out of myself, which in retrospect, if anybody's listening to this show, and if you're the type of person who's an empath and you don't feel that you fit in, then most likely you're not here to fit in. So unlike myself, who felt compelled to go back to university or I wouldn't amount to anything, if you're listening to this show and you have that feeling, then I suggest you pursue what it is that gives you the passion. And it may not be going to university or doing the regular academic route. But I did that. I went to university and I went on to do my master's. I have a master's in whole system design and conflict resolution. I've taught university at Simon Fraser University in conflict and intervention. And I've designed and taught courses in community economic development. I've written chapters in books around forest stewardship. I've helped put lands in trust. I've done all sorts of different things and probably had 4 or 5 lifetimes and experiences in different areas in one lifetime. So I packed it in, did a lot of world traveling and seen a lot of wonderful things. But I have to say that the dowsing aspect gives you an opportunity to touch the energy fields around us and to begin to understand that we live in a sea of energy, which is, of course, what physics is demonstrating to us now. And that once you understand that everything is energy, even the third dimension is just more condensed energy, that you then get the opportunity to learn how to work with energy and how to change the world that you live in. And then it gets really exciting. So the basis of dowsing is the basis of magic. It's the basis of change and transformation. It's the basis of hermeticism. It's the basis of all sorts of, like, alchemy. So anything that has to do with transformation, change is, you can do that and learn how to do it through dowsing.
With your educational background, obviously there are a lot of scientists around the university at Simon Fraser. That is in Vancouver for our American listeners, just outside of Vancouver in a city called Burnaby, British Columbia, about 20-minute drive east of Vancouver. Did you ever take your theories to other scientists at the university to get their opinion of what they believed? Because for what we have learned on this show, whether it's UFOs, whether it's cryptids like Bigfoot, whether it's anything paranormal, for the most part, university scientists do not want to touch those types of topics, anything that is almost on the metaphysical side. How did you have those conversations with your fellow professors and doctors?
Well, I didn't, to be quite honest. It wasn't, learning to be a scientist or learning to be an academic, it was an alien world to me. It's something that I learned and was taught how to do it. So, for example, when I went to high school, I thought when a teacher said, "What do you think about that?" or "What do you believe about this?" they actually wanted to know what I thought or what I believed. That's how disconnected I was from the existing paradigm, which was they wanted me to parrot the answer that fitted their paradigm. So once I had a buddy of mine teach me that that's not what they wanted, that you just needed to be the best parrot on the planet, then I was able to ace all my academics and then just slide in the last 10% of the essay or in the bottom of the question my own worldview. But basically, all academics, all scientific methodology is basically fitting into a paradigm that's very exclusive and very narrow-minded. And in fact, we talk a lot about that in a show, a series of shows on astrology, if people want to tune into that. And it's I co-host a show called The Big Picture Revealed Show, in which we look at astrology, astronomy, the scientific paradigm, the limitations of how they see the world and how it excludes the holistic paradigm, which includes astrology and holism, and that we're all interconnected and there is no separation. It's a great series. It's an interview. I'm the co-host with Michael O'Connor, who's a holistic astrologer, and we talk about these issues that you're bringing up about how the paradigm in science cannot deal with anything that doesn't fit the ruling paradigm. And in fact, the rigidity is quite strong because it means that they are invested academically, usually for financial reasons. So their grants and their funding is all dependent on a certain worldview. And if you question that worldview, it's going to be dogmatically protected, because if they have to change their paradigm view, then all their academic work that they've done to date will all be in question, and also their funding. So unfortunately, science moves at very much of a snail's pace. Now, I'm not saying that all scientists are this way. There's some real leading lights in this area that are more holistic and more aligned to the sorts of paranormal things that you're interested in. But generally speaking, it's pretty narrow-minded.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? Because science, take away the funding and the grants and everything they receive for research. Science is supposed to be the proving or disproving of theory. Everything we do is theoretic. And when you are not testing theories that could be plausible because of a personal opinion or financial gain, does that not put into question the ethics of what science is about?
Well, there's an even deeper fundamental question about science as being, the whole concept of a detached observer. That as a detached observer, you can run an experiment and make conclusions on it, which is completely erroneous, because there is no such thing as being a detached observer. It's been proven scientifically that by the mere fact that you're involved in the experiment, that you and the experiment are interconnected. So you can't be detached from it. So there is no such thing as a detached observer. It doesn't exist. And furthermore, the whole paradigm of science is irrelevant or not based on logic, because if you look at the way every insight comes, it's a eureka, it's an aha, it's a flash in the night, it's a dream, it's a download that comes from another dimension, and it comes from intuition, it comes from guidance, it comes from a higher level, and science is only an attempt to explain that. It's only an artifact of a conscious event that was mind-boggling in and of itself. And science is an attempt to explain that in a language that is incapable of describing that ineffable experience that one had, and particularly in a way in which it is replicable and provable. Now, I'm not saying that science and technologies isn't beneficial for us, but to think that it has, that they're the kingmakers, that they have the only way of interpreting the world, that their way of envisioning the world is the only way, is very narrow-minded. It's only a particular slice of the pie. It's only coming from a perspective of the left brain. And it's excluding all of the intuitive, holistic perspective that realizes that we're all interconnected, and then there's three illusions. That is separation, time, and is another one, and measurement. So with those three illusions, we're dealing with a body of information that is all illusionary. So it makes it very difficult to talk to scientists that are hidebound by certain ways to see the world and then think that that way is the only way.
It doesn't sound like you're very much in agreement with the way the scientific method is being used with everything.
Well, not if it's used as a way of power broking. If I've got a belief system and I'm not willing to question any other belief system because my funding depends on it and my whole status quo depends on that, then I'm in trouble. So, at the very early age, and being the type of person I was, I wanted to go into archaeology. But I knew in going to in archaeology, the real archaeology, the findings were not being revealed by the Smithsonian Institute. I knew I couldn't go that road. I wanted to go into psychology and the study of human beings, but I realized that studying rats and that whole way of studying the human mind is completely erroneous, so I couldn't go that way. And so every one of the fields that I was interested in going, I was stymied because it already had pre-conclusions about what was correct and what wasn't correct, and I already intuitively knew that they were wrong. So it disallowed me from participating because I'd have to fit into a box. And every time I fit into a box, I have to reveal that the box doesn't fit me anymore at a certain point, and then that game is over. So the beauty of that is I've been able to have multiple careers. But unless you could fit into a paradigm and feel comfortable in that box and can stay in that box and not question that box, then it's probably not the best thing to do with your life.
Let's move on towards dowsing here. How did you first get involved with dowsing?
Well, like I said, I saw that David Cowan could do as quickly an assessment of the bioenergy field of an individual than his machine technology could, which had hundreds of different modalities in it. So like there was everything from herbs and remedies and energy medicines of different kinds, and all in this way of assessing it. So you put these electrodes on a person and it takes the measurement of the bioenergy field, and then it determines which one of these naturopathic or herbal remedies need to be fed back energetically, because every herbal remedy and every correction is all energy. So they're all energy frequencies. So you that would feed it back to the client and would help that person heal. Well, he quickly was able to do that without using the technology. So for me, that I became excited that that was an avenue to work with people to help them manage their bioenergy field and learn how to transform and change it in whatever way that they wanted to, and also be able to change the world that they live in. With every thought, word, and deed, they get an opportunity. If they don't like the way the world is, that they get an opportunity to learn how to change it and transform it. So it puts the power back into every individual's hands. So rather than trying to fit into an existing paradigm that may be erroneous, or you feel that you're trapped, or that it excludes your particular way of seeing the world, then by learning how to dowse, you can start to create the world that you want and find like-minded people who you want to work with, and then you become an explorer of the inner realms, and you can bring about miracles in your life. So what could be more exciting than that?
When I think of dowsing, I think of, in the old days where they would take a stick that had a Y out of it, and you would be holding it, and the long end you'd be pointing, and then all of a sudden when it pointed down, that's where you drilled for water. That's what I thought of dowsing. Then I saw, the two bars where you hold them and the metal bars will kind of come together, or any bars would come together. I didn't know that it could be used as a spiritual tool. I always thought it was mainly to get in touch with Mother Earth to see what the secrets she was holding were.
Yeah, there's all of that as well. I mean, I do water dowsing, and I can dowse for minerals and do all those things, and find water veins and do all that. But more exciting to me is the interdimensional realms of humanity. Is a human, the inner dimension, the inner landscape. Just like you. Spaced out radio, you're talking about outer space. My interest is inner space, and that the outer space, is reflected by your inner space. So if you want your outer space to show up in a different way, well, then change your inner space. And I guess that came about because I was an environmentalist for 30, 40 years, and I spent a lot of time trying to convince people that they should change their habits, that, the Mother Earth was going through pain and trials and tribulations, and that if I could wake people up to be more, more of a planetary stewards, to take care of the earth and to learn how to do this and that. And I quickly found out that that doesn't work. People don't want to change their habits. There's no reason for them to want to do that, and it's hard to convince people. And I was at a conference where there were a number of like 30 or 40 environmentalists had been invited to the conference. It was actually on Cortez Island at Hollyhock. And it was a gift for all of us, to give us some advanced training and organizational skills. And there's about 40 people there. And the first question that was asked was, why are you an environmentalist? And by the time we got, halfway around the circle, we'd gone through 3 or 4 boxes of Kleenex. And I realized there was so much pain, so much suffering in that room, because those people that were involved in the environmental movement were actually wearing that energy. In other words, they were processing all that pain and suffering inside of their bodies. And for me, that was a wake-up call. I thought, why am I doing this to myself?
Question is, where did Tyhson just go? Did we just
They're
lose
not ready to see.
Your phone cut out on us there for about 3 or 4 seconds.
All right. So I basically was saying, as an environmentalist, I found that people were dealing with the pain inside of their bodies, and that they were overwhelmed by the work that they were doing, and they were suffering. And I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So I got interested in the human potential movement, in inner growth and transformation, that why not help people change the way that they see the world? If they change the way they see the world, then they're going to be more benevolent, have more compassion to the world that they live in. And so that's why I moved from being an environmentalist into the area of dowsing and the inner landscape of helping people learn how to manage their bioenergy field, how to change the world that they live in.
How have people adjusted to that, though, Tyhson? Because everybody is different, and the way spirituality is going these days, everybody seems to be on their own path rather than some sort of religious path.
Well, I think that I've been in my dowsing and energy healing closed Facebook page. We're now at 2,862 and growing every day, so there must be some interest out there about what we're talking about. I think there's an interest in learning how to do this, learning how to change their world, learning how to create a better world for them and for their loved ones and for their clients and for their descendants. And the beauty of dowsing is it moves beyond space and time, so you can be moving back in what we call time and cleaning up something that happened, right back in the womb. So it's a way of clearing trauma, unresolved conflict, unresolved emotional trauma, core fractures, near-death experience, even paranormal, situations where abductees are still in the terror of that experience, how to release that, how to deal with exorcism of possession, how to deal with entities, ETs, things that go bump in the night, poltergeists, any interference with into your energy field from any and all sources, how to deal with external forces such as EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, all the technologies that are used by government, like a microwave, like cell phones, like smart meters, like all the mind control, Ultra K, all those sorts of things can be dealt with by learning how to manage your bioenergy field. So it's really something that's critically important at this time when we're under such a deluge from so many different areas. So, like, for example, how to work with elementals around, what's happening with climate change and what's happening with seeding the clouds and chemtrails. All those things are impacting our bioenergy field and our way of life, and it really behooves anybody to learn how to counter that in a benevolent way and to raise their bioenergy field so that they're not smacked down by that energy and they can get on with their lives and actually change the world to be a more benevolent place to live in. So that's what gets me up in the morning and why I'm excited about dowsing.
I happen to have two pendulums here with me. Let's talk pendulums for a minute, because pendulums seem to be absolutely everywhere. You go to any farmer's market, you go to flea markets, garage sales, any type of conferences, there's always people selling pendulums. What is your opinion on whether or not pendulums work?
Well, a pendulum is like an insect has, an antenna, right? And that antenna is attuned to a certain plant, a frequency of a plant that is having some sort of, problem. So that antenna picks up the vibrational frequencies and causes an attraction between that insect and the plant. So it's the antenna is to an insect what a dowsing tool is to the dowser. It's like an antenna. It heightens one's perception of being able to pick up the energy fields that surround a human being that are always there, always have been, and always will be there. But with our five senses, we're not aware of them because nobody has taught us that we're surrounded in this sea of energy and that we could learn how to work with it and what that sea of energy means to us and how it impacts us. And so that's what dowsing is all about and why you use the dowsing instruments. Of course, the goal is to become, is to move beyond instruments and be able to do it with your body and just to get guidance, intuition, and know that you can trust your intuition. So again, the pendulum, the L rods, the Y rods, the forked stick, the bobber are only training wheels. They're only the beginning stages of learning how to work in the intuitive level of consciousness. So to go back to a pendulum, does a pendulum work? Yeah, absolutely. But you are programming the pendulum. So if you're using a pendulum, you're waiting for your pendulum just to move, like some sort of Ouija board or hocus pocus, you're going to be waiting there for a long time. So when I teach people to use a pendulum, it's an interaction between that pendulum and you. I mean, everything is living. So you have a relationship that you've established with that pendulum of how you want to, it becomes your antenna because you have entrained it to be that pendulum, just like you entrain a crystal to work with you. So that's the beginning step, to teach people how to work with a pendulum or L-rods or any of those types of tools. So, yeah, so pendulums, they've been used since, they were used in Egypt, they were used by Hitler. Hitler never went anywhere with his squadron of tanks and everything without having the whole area, doused for anything that was in the way. I mean, even now they use L-rods to discover where mines are in the minefield. So again, it's just a way of being helping you become more hypersensitive to the energy around you so that you don't have to use the tool.
A lot of people believe, and a lot of people believe, though, that there is spirit attached to the pendulum. It's a great way to communicate with spirit guides or other spirits that are around. Do you buy that as well, or do you think that's fallacy?
Well, you get to create your own world with every thought, word, and deed. And so if you think it's a spirit doing that, or if you think God sits on a throne in heavens and judges you, guess what? That's your reality, and you're going to have everything show up to prove that to be so. I mean, that's the whole basis of science. If you believe that there's a scientific methodology and that's the way the world works, that's the only way you see the world work. And anything else that doesn't fit that paradigm has no validity to you whatsoever. And you have a set of blinders because you already have a belief system that says that it could only be this way. So to be open-minded and allow the possibility of anything showing up in any way, shape, or form is a different way to show up, in a day-to-day reality. So it's a different way of being. It's like intuition and guidance and dowsing are all interconnected. So one of the exercises, and I'll be teaching dowsing this weekend, by the way, in Red Deer as part of the Canadian Society of Questers, which of course will be co-doing the next gathering in the fall with Spaced Out Radio. So I'll be teaching this dowsing, and one of the first thing that you do is you take the pendulum in your dominant hand and you blow on it and you say, I imbue this pendulum with my breath of light. I mean, it's your word, your breath, in the beginning was the word. You are the creator God, and you're imbuing that energy into the living matter, which is a pendulum. Now, whether you believe it is a living matter or not is up to you, but everything is alive. There's nothing that's dead on this planet. A rock, a tree, the dirt, the dust, everything that man has made has a spirit or an energy to it. And therefore, when you imbue it with your energy, and then you say, when I move the pendulum like this, the answer to my question is yes. And when my pendulum moves like this, the answer to my question is no. And then if you do quality control and say, every time I use my pendulum, I only want the answer from my higher self connected to source, then now we have a direct channel to all that is, or God, or your higher intelligence, or source, or however you want to call it. And now you have a way in which you can begin to rely on that intuition, and the more you rely on it and trust it and it works out, the stronger that connection comes. And then you move towards the toolless connection to source. So that's the beginning steps about how you do it. Now, you could say that, that's a poltergeist, or you could say that there, in essence, it is a spirit in the pendulum that you're working with because it is a living entity. So if you think of it that way, yes, you are working with a spirit.
Do you believe then that you can contact or use it to contact spirit guides, use it to contact extraterrestrials, use it at haunted buildings, museums, if your house is haunted, in order to communicate with the dead? Or are we just pulling our own legs on that?
No, well, for when I started doing all this, and I found out to my horror that there was, extraterrestrials, disincarnate beings that literally fed off the negative energy of human beings. I was really disgusted and shocked. I have to tell you, if somebody had said that this was true 20 years ago, I would have said, you're crazy. You need to be committed. But, working with other dowsers and learning this body of information, I have no doubt, especially as an exorcist, when I have to help remove entities from different people's auric fields. That being said, and in the beginning, I wanted to know, well, who are they? Do they have 4 legs? Are they from Venus? Are they from Mars? And do you have 4 heads? And how many entities are there? And all of that stuff was interesting to me. But at this point, I don't care. The only thing that interests me is I don't want them in my energy field, and I don't want them in a client's energy field. And who they are and where they come from and what they're doing here, I really don't care about. I'm just interested in clearing and sending back to where they came from. So I don't spend a lot of time pursuing the sort of things that you may be interested in around the paranormal. I really don't care if a spirit is inhabiting a house. I don't care who they are or where they're from. I mean, I've talked to spirits and I've had communication with them, and that's all very interesting and whatever, but I'm not really that interested. I'm just interested in clearing the house. I'm just interested in allowing human beings to have an experience where they get to manage their own lives, their own house, their own property without spirit interference. Now, I'm not saying all spirits are negative, but most problems that I'm being asked to solve are things that go bump in the night and scare the bejesus out of people. So I'm not so interested in who they are or why they're doing what they're doing. I'm more interested in clearing it up.
So let's talk about using dowsing or pendulums to clean up these situations. Is this something that everybody can do, or do you need somebody who is trained or maybe even ordained to do it?
Well, that's interesting. I had a client the other day, and she was looking for an exorcism of possession, and she was working with a Catholic priest. And I said, and she had worked with him before around some removing some vows. And I said, just out of curiosity, what is the charge for that type of exorcism? And she said, $15,000.
Are you kidding me?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not kidding you. So, maybe I'm in the wrong profession. Maybe I should be, a Catholic exorcist. So to go back to that, the interesting thing about exorcism and depossession is and I've done thousands of them, is to realize that what's showing up in your energy field, good, bad, or ugly, is there for your own soul evolution. You brought it in for your own learnings. And if you can take that attitude, then I can work with you and help you, teach you how to manage your energy field so possession is no longer a possibility. But for most people, they're looking for the silver bullet. They want me to come and, use the silver bullet or hold up the cross or do an exorcism and make it all right in the world. Or, like the Catholic exorcist, you pay me a lot of money and I boot everybody out. But the problem with that is it is not a long-term solution, because there's a spiritual lesson in why that entity showed up in the first place. And so I tell people that this is like having me go to your house. If your body's like a house, and I go and do an eviction notice, and I got everybody out of the house, and you don't lock the front door and the windows, and you leave the front door open with a sign on it, come on back in and make yourself at home, then guess what? Repossession is going to happen pretty darn quick. So I'm interested in empowering people to learn how to do this for themselves so that they don't have to come back and spend another $15,000 or go to somebody else to help them do whatever they need to do to clean up their own act. So I teach people how to do every step of this. So there's nothing that I do that I don't believe other people can learn how to do it. And that's my passion, is to teach other people that they can do it as well, that they can receive guidance. They can have a life with much more ease and grace. They can clean up their neighborhoods. They can clean up the houses. They can clean up schools. We can create a more peaceful and benevolent planet to live on. If we take on the responsibility of learning how to do this, we become spiritual planetary earth stewards. We learn how to clean up the planet. And it's our divine right to do it. So why not learn how to do it and get to work?
I have a couple questions coming from our audience, a couple from Aspen, who is of First Nations descent. And that's a whole different line of spirituality right there. But her question is, how do kids then get possessed?
Well, a possession is basically an entity coming into somebody's field, asking that person to do an upgrade. So look at it this way. Right now people are listening to spaced out radio, right? They're on a certain frequency. They change that frequency, they're not listening to spaced out radio. It doesn't exist in their reality anymore. They have to be tuned into spaced out radio to hear, right? So your body is the same thing. When your body is at a certain frequency, low-level entities at that same frequency are attracted to you and allow you, they can enter into your field because there's an energy match. Raise your bioenergy field up, and that entity no longer has access to you. So, why is a child possessed? Great question. It could be this lifetime, past lifetime. It could be through the patriarchal lineage. It could be through the soul family. It could be leftover business. It could be an opportunity for his or her parents to understand the type of environment that they're creating. It could be that the house is haunted. It could be geopathic stress in the energy ley lines beneath the house. It could be a number of different things. So there's no one answer. That's why I'm the energy detective. My job as an energy detective is to tune in through intuition and discover what's going on. So in this particular case, if there was a particular case, I could tune into that case and answer the question about what's going on there.
Follow-up question.
So if that person actually has a situation, they are more than welcome to ask me that.
Follow-up question from Aspen. Are children then inherently evil?
No, nobody's inherently evil. There is no such a thing as evil in my world. Evil is just a misconstruction or a misconstruing of energy around you. The only thing that makes it evil is if you have fear, doubt, shame, guilt, and you interpret the energy that's entering you or around you as somehow scary or something that's going to possess you or overwhelm you. If you can manage your fear and change it into love or any of the higher vibrations, you immediately you will no longer attract low-level entities, and therefore possession will cease to exist. So the only way these low-level entities, only reason they're attracted to humans and the only reason they're in your auric field or harassing you is because they're feeding on your energy. And the only energy they can feed on is negative energy. So if you have entities or if you have voices in your head, then it's a sheer indication that it's time to upgrade your bioenergy field, either, through the type of food you eat, the water you drink, the way you manage your thoughts, your deeds, or your actions, your karmic deeds. When you clean this all up, and that's what I help people do, is take back their power, stand in their truth no matter what, then they clean themselves up. It's like taking a spiritual shower and learning how to continue to take a spiritual shower, and then what people say is evil no longer exists in their world.
So what about people who suffer from psychopathy of some sort?
Same thing. Now, if you're further down the road where you have taken psychotropic drugs and you've been put into an institution and you've had electric shock therapy or you're on drugs, which leads to more possession problems, And even being in the psychiatric ward means that all those entities that are being, removed from other people's body jump into your body. And if you believe that you are possessed by the devil incarnate or second cousin, and you strongly believe that, then it's almost impossible for me to help you, because your paradigm is so strong, your belief system is so non-exclusive of any other thought form, that you're going to want to stay where you are because there's more security in it. And so the fear is stronger for you than the solution to move towards unconditional love or higher vibrational frequency that will free you. So, it's a touchy thing. I have a lot of compassion for people that are stuck in those situations, and I try and help them. But I can tell pretty quick, within a few minutes of a conversation, whether they're ready to get to work or not. And number one is, the question is, do you understand that there's a soul contract, that this entity is showing up in your energy field for you to learn something that you haven't learned? Yes or no? Do you believe that you have the power to raise your bioenergy field and change your situation? Yes or no? Do you understand that when this is all over, that your greatest teacher will be that entity that possessed you? Those are the sort of questions that I need to ask a potential client, because if they can understand that type of different paradigm than what they're stuck in, then there's hope that I can help them shift into this new paradigm and change their energy field so possession no further occurs. But if they're stuck in, oh, no, you're not listening to me, I had the devils, and I need to do this, and I need to have a Christian do this, and he needs to be this or that, and I need to do it with a cross, or, if there's a whole bunch of a front-end loading about what has to happen and only can happen that way, then you're giving me a prescription that I have to show up in your world, wearing this, the cloth, or with a crucifix or whatever, to help you solve your dilemma in only a particular way. And that gets very difficult to do. Did that make sense?
In general, yes, but I'm trying to figure out whether or not, every psychopath is possessed in one way or another, because many of them have no feeling of compassion. Right.
A psychopath, we're into a different level. A psychopath could have entity involvement. But to be honest with you, from my point of view, I think most psychopaths are gone through a mind-altering experience. That's what I think. I think a lot of psychopaths have, through government intervention and one way or another, have had, their mind fragmented and therefore are not knowing what they're doing. Now, that's one way it can happen. Another way is psychotropic drugs, that are being given. Those really can make a person totally, absolutely crazy and separate them from their soul essence. So that's another way. So I think a lot of the drugs that are being administered for, psychotic experiences are really in the way of the person healing themselves. I've found in the work that I do that a psychotic experience, if I'm there with the client and can support them, it's like doing, doing acid or any other, very heightened experience that the brain is going through, where that visions and everything that you're seeing, because of your multidimensional reality, the reality that you're experiencing is actually real to you. No doubt about that. But if there's a coach there that can take them through and help ground them and make them feel safe, they can heal themselves. This is what I believe in my world, and get out the other side. But if you go to a psychiatric ward and you end up with drugs which really inhibit your ability to heal yourself, then you're stuck, and your brain can't go through the process of healing itself. It's like sticking you in a jail cell in your brain with nowhere to move. That, to me, is hell. And if it is if it's an anti-possession, guess what? The entity thinks that's great because you're in constant fear and it can feed off of you. So it's a horrible experience. So yes, there are things like, there are psychopaths. There's no doubt about that. But I think the more that we learn how to clear the planet and the stress that's in the actual areas where violence has occurred, that's trapped in the earth, and we release those energies, the propensity to move towards being a psychopath, both collectively and individually, will be lessened. Did that make sense to you?
Absolutely it did. We have about 30 seconds before we got to go to break here, and I wanted to continue on with this conversation because I think it's very important to try and bring that into the whole realm of evil and exorcisms, you know, because I was actually quite caught off guard when you had mentioned that you don't believe true evil exists, and we're going to talk about that after the break. So, Tyhson, I'm going to get you to hold on here right now. Tyhson Banighen is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He will also be speaking at our first annual Caribou Paracon put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers, coming September 28th to 30th in 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia, and his website, energydetective.ca. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hey Space Travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on SpacedOutRadio.com.
Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm going to take you for a ride every Sunday night on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to set up your week with some strange tales from across North America, from psychic readings, Sasquatch, UFOs, to the most haunted locations. Come join me at SpacedOutRadio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, and let's get weird together. I'd love for you to join me. Spaced Out Sundays at SpacedOutRadio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at UFOseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spaceoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spaceoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over Spaced Out Radio Night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Johnny Enoch is going to join us. We're going to talk about ascension, UFOs, extraterrestrials, disclosure, as Johnny is a good friend around Spaced Out Radio. Helped me start this show back in 2014. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on the Spaced Out Radio Network, including the Fringe.fm. And you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are on YouTube with our archives. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Please hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate that. As well, all you have to do is check us out on Periscope as well. We are live every Monday through Friday night. Hi, everyone on Periscope. Thank you for joining us. And our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You could rock out to some Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read at the counter online, or watch great videos from UFO seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Totachrone. Totachrone is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here at the mighty SOR. Tonight we are talking dowsing, exorcisms, science of the weird, strange, and odd. Tyhson Banighen is with us. His website is energydetective.ca, not .com, .ca. I highly suggest you check it on out. Tyhson, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back.
Well, it's good to be back on the show.
Right before the break, in the last half hour, you had mentioned that you don't really believe that evil exists. Now, maybe I heard that wrong, but that's the way I thought I heard it. So I'm wondering, in regards to evil, we see a lot of evil on this planet. We see, everything from honor killings to mass murder to people beating animals that are all over Facebook right now, those stupid videos. To me, I see that as evil. Am I defining evil wrong when I think about it that way?
No, I don't think you are. I think that, if it is true that we create the world we live in, both individually and collectively, then you're seeing the manifestation in the outer world of the inner world collectively that we have not come to terms with or reconciliation with regard to. So all the trauma that you're seeing, all the evil on the outside is the very fear, doubt, shame, guilt, unresolved conflict, core fractures, trauma, rape, pillage, that has happened in people's individual lives that they haven't been able to resolve in a way in which they can process the emotions. So they've disassociated with themselves, and as we've said previously, they can disassociate themselves to the extent that they can become psychopaths, where they no longer feel, because they're so alienated from their true nature, their inner nature, that they're almost automatons. I think that's how you say it, but they're an automatic pilot, is the point I'm trying to make. And so, yes, evil is a reflection of unresolved conflict collectively and individually in our inner world. But if that's true, and I believe that it is, then the solution is quite obvious. Change your inner world, convince those around you, your loved ones, to do the same. Teach people the tools and techniques to do that, which to me is dowsing and energy healing in all its various forms, so people can take back their personal power, stand in their truth no matter what, change the world that they live in for the better, which then changes their families, their neighborhoods, and has a multiplier effect. And before you know it, we have a changed planet. So, yes, evil is the absence of a resolution of unresolved inner trauma in my world. So that's how I see it. I see it as yet another opportunity to do more inner work and help other people do the same.
So does that also include people who suffer from mental illness, whether it's bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety, even autism?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, autism, I wouldn't put that. It's in a different spectrum. But let's go back to the other ones. Yeah, it can be this lifetime, past life. It can be karmic. It can be soul contract, which is really why it's really important to get out of judgment about, that this person is the way that they are because they were bad, rotten, and wrong. We have no idea what they're trying to work out and why they're working out. If anything, the more benevolent we are and the more the compassion we are to help them come to some resolution around what they haven't been able to work out on their own, the more that they can resolve their own inner conflict. So, we're all born with a connection to the divine or to source or to God consciousness or all that is. When we separate out whether it's the way that we were raised, the way that we were born, the way we were schooled, our society, our culture, our religion, our beliefs, our scientific paradigm, whatever is a way of separating us from our true nature. And when we're separated, we begin to suffer because we're not following our divinity, our connection to source. When we suffer, there's consequences, and suffering usually leads to disorder and disease, mental illness, and all the rest of it, which are all ways of the body saying, hey, need to pay attention to me. There's change that needs to happen in your life, because if the change doesn't happen, we are on the cycling realm of being recycled. We're on the death spiral, so to speak. So when you raise your bioenergy across that threshold, you're no longer losing energy anymore. You're gaining energy. Now your life has more ease and grace. You're in the right place at the right time. It's sort of like Michael Jordan's in the zone. He's not thinking about dunking the ball. He's just dunking the ball. It's like playing hockey. You know, you just know where that puck is and where the stick needs to be to do it. It becomes automatic because it's part of what you've done in learning how to manage your energy system. You learn how to move through what's showing up in your life, good, bad, and ugly. You don't get caught in the trap of, oh my God, this is so horrible. I fall upon the thorns of life. I bleed, poor me, which is part of the downward spiral. Unfortunately, in our culture, this is not really taught anywhere. It's not taught in schools. Nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about that 75% of the population has 50% more intrusion into the bioenergy field. That means that most people on the planet are operating at 50% of their energy potentiality. So that means that half the population, if they learn how to do this, when they get, actually 75% of the population, when they got up in the morning and learned how to do that, they'd have twice as much energy to get them through the day. To me, that's amazing. That's a lot of potentiality for change and transformation that's not being realized on this planet. That's where the change is going to come. That's where the counter to what we're calling evil is going to happen in the world, is when we learn how to do this, how to stand in our power, how to take it back, how to not be overwhelmed by all these different belief systems that we bought into, most of them subconsciously. I mean, most of this happened from the moment that you were born. You were taught certain things about the way that what you needed to do in order to feel that you were loved, and what you would do and you weren't loved. So it became a conditioned experience for you to how to react to the world around you. So we've got a long way to go, but it's all doable.
Do you think that society as general can accept that, because we have become so reliant on medicating ourselves for these problems?
Yeah. Well, you know, what can I say? I work with the clients that realize that doesn't work for them. You know, at some period, how many pills are you going to take before you wake up and realize that maybe the pills are the problem? I know with my mother, you know, she was almost like a zombie. So I took all of her pills and took them to the doctor. And because she'd gone to the clinic, you know, this doctor gave her this pill, and then she went to the clinic and this different doctor gave her this pill, and all the pills were, you know, countering each other, and she was like a zombie. So, I mean, in our culture, especially with the elderly, you know, unless there's somebody there to manage their drugs and what they're being prescribed, it creates zombies. So, and the food we ate, you know, it creates zombies as well. So, you know, it is an upward battle or struggle, and that's why you need to take back your own personal power and learn how to stand in your truth no matter what. I mean, this is your birthright, to be a sovereign human being. And the more you learn to do that, the more you can help other people learn how to do it as well. And it becomes less of a scary world to live in.
I have a trifecta of questions from Ron in Saskatchewan for you. And he is asking, what method works best to heal and align the chakra, in your opinion?
Well, chakras are an indication of the very energy levels that are around your body. So the first level is the physical, which is the densest vibration. The next one out is your emotional, which is really what we're talking about, is the emotional level within your shame, guilt, fear, doubt, all those types of emotion. They're attracting entities and can lead to possession. So 75% of your bioenergy field is open, or more is open. There's a good chance that you will be possessed by entities that are vibrating at that frequency. So the next level out is the mental, and the next level out is the spiritual, and the next level out are different realms of higher dimensional reality, which haven't condensed in to the present moment. So chakras and dealing with them, you can use a pendulum. The beauty of using a pendulum over chakras is if you were to have them lie down, and you just put a pendulum over each one of the chakra, the pendulum itself would do the work, even on its own, without any guidance from a human being. So it would spin counterclockwise to clear the chakra. It would come to rest on its own, and then would spin clockwise and instill the higher energy back into the chakras. So a pendulum can also be used to determine whether the chakra is rotating at the right frequency. It can be used to see whether it's 100% fully activated or not. You can use the pendulum to do a clearing of the chakra that isn't 100% aligned. You can do all sorts of things. So the pendulum and dowsing is a way in which to manage your bioenergy field. And if you want to do it at the chakra level, then a pendulum is a great way to do it. Another way is you can come and have a sound session with me. I use quantum sound therapy. I take a recording of your voice, and then I show you on a graph exactly what's happening in each one of your chakras. Whether you're more fully in your body, or you're living in your emotional body, which most women are, or whether you're stuck in your head, or you're not even in your body at all. And then I take you on a guided meditation by asking you, if you could wave a magic wand and anything and everything were possible in your life, what would it be? And of course, anything that you want in your life, if you so choose, can be. That's the whole point. You get to manifest the world that you want to live in. Then I clear everything in the way of that showing up. Then I record your voice again, and you see a huge quantum jump in your chakras, which goes to show you how you can manifest things in your life by imagining and believing and putting emotion into the reality that you want to create, and stop fixating on the reality that you don't want, because that's what most people do. I mean, when we get together, we talk about, this, poor me, the doctor said this, and I've been diagnosed with that, or the world's going to hell with a handbasket. Most of our conversation is, ain't it awful? We spend very little of our time focusing on what we do want to manifest and allowing that to come into our reality. So yes, back to the chakras. It's a great way to learn how to manage your bioenergy field, is to learn how to see whether your chakras are open or clear or need to be cleared, and learning how to do that through the deep clearing protocol, which is free through my energydetective.ca. You can head on over there, look for the deep clearing. It's a 21-day clearing. It's free. Just sign in, and you'll get an email back. You say, yes, I want it. The next email, you download it. You do the 21-day clearing, and you're free and clear. And if you need some help, you can do a one-to-one session with me. I charge $997 US to work with me, 1 hour a week, or $497 a month, 4 times a week for half an hour. So I can help you put some rocket fuel to get you from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest amount of time. But the important thing is do the work and get the results.
Let's get to another question from Ron. He is asking, when you are dowsing, should you be protecting yourself with some sort of spiritual guidance? Some people use sage, other people use prayer.
Yeah, I think it's always good to protect yourself. But the thing is, if you're spending your energy protecting yourself, like creating a field of white light, or doing sage or doing whatever, you're spending a lot of time doing something to protect yourself. It's, you say my dowsing protocol, every time I douse, I'm connected to my higher self, connected to Source, and I ask for assistance from Divine Mother or Creator God, and I allow, and I ask that I be protected, on all levels of creation, blah, blah, blah. And that becomes your protocol. And when you do that a number of times, and every time you pick up the pendulum, every time you do your guidance, every time you tune in, you're protected. So yes, in the first 21 days, it's probably very good to come up with that protocol that includes protection, or making sure that protection. Let's use the word protection. But after that, think of it this way. If, say 50% of the energy that's coming into my bioenergy field that is negative or non-beneficial. I don't like to use negative, positive, good, or bad. Let's say non-beneficial. And I'm excluding that energy, then that's 50% of the energy that's available in the universe that I can't use. So why not install the program into your subconscious that all the energy that's directed at you, when it comes into your bioenergy field, that it's transmuted into positive energy. Now you have access to all the energy that surrounds you and that is impinging on your reality. Now you don't have to spend all that time, doing the sage or clearing your auric field or protecting yourself or surrounding yourself in white light and all the rest of that, which can get exhausting. So because it takes constant work to do that. If you've got it running in your subconscious 24/7, 365, then every time you step into dowsing or step into receiving guidance or helping other people, that protection will be there for you. And if you're concerned, then by all means go ahead and do the protection. Hopefully that helps answer that question.
And his third one, we'll give the hat trick here, the natural hat trick in period 2. How do you locate lost people, animals, and or objects then with dowsing?
Well, it's really, tuning into the energy of the animal. So when I do horse whispering or animal whispering or human whispering, I'm tuning into their field. And because I've done it so often, it's automatic. If somebody were to phone into the show right now and ask a question, I could respond to it because I'm so used to being able to plug into that energy. So, to find a lost person or lost animal, the first question is, do they want to be found? So that's it. And I have to say that, some dowsers are better at other things than other dowsers. Finding lost people is, I guess one of the jobs that I worked on was, I was on a piece of property and the person who hired me to do the job was worried that his dad might have actually committed murders on that property with hitchhikers during the 70s. Well, I don't know about you, but finding dead bodies on the property was not the thing that I really wanted to do. And he was already, he had he had an ET contact, which he explained to me as well, which was very scary for him. So the whole family was pretty traumatized by the fact of having all the ET contact and being taken apart, on board, and all sorts of weird and wonderful things being done to them. So that was a weird situation. So finding lost bodies or people is not really something I enjoy doing it. But one of the ways that you can do it that works really effectively is to take a map. And on the map, you can then divide it into quadrants, and there's usually already on a map, A's on one side, alphabet and numbers on the other. And in the square, you just say, is it in this square, or that square? Or you can take two L rods, and if you know how to make them cross, you can take it on the map and just run it down the edge of the map. Where the two L rods come together, that's where the person is located, or the lost animal. So there's various techniques, and on my Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy.ca website, there's 4 ways to clear a house, for example, which is a small course for $33. So that is like the same type of protocol that you can use to clear anything and everything that you want not only a house, but people, situations, spirits, entities, intrusions. It's the similar technique that you would use to clear a house, which is the same as clearing your house, which is your body. So, yeah, so finding lost objects, I think you just do, for me, I do a series of questions. I say, is it upstairs, downstairs? Is it in my lady's chamber? Is it here? Is it there? Is it wherever? Is it inside the house, outside? Yes, no, and I just zero it down. If it's lost people, I like to use a map. And if I'm helping people locate a property where they want to live, where there's an alignment between them and the house they want to buy, I do the same thing. I will take, is it in the Okanagan region, is this region, whatever. Then I go to a book of maps that I go through each map. Is it on this map, this map, this map? And when I find the map, then I put it into sections, and is it this quadrant, that quadrant, and you just narrow it down. So you're just creating a funnel from the very broad to the more specific.
Got a question from Dale, one of our newer listeners here on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you, Dale, for hopping on into the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. He is asking, does a person have to hold the pendulum, or would it work if you hung it from a tripod? Does the effect flow from somewhere into the pendulum, or from you to the pendulum?
Good question. I've never used a tripod. To me, it's a pendulum is an extension of my being. It's my antenna. It's my ability to pick up energies that I otherwise wouldn't be attuned to. And most of the time, to be quite honest, when I do a clearing or an installation, I clear energy that's non-beneficial. I then completely, I turn around immediately, fill the vacuum with energy that I do want. So I install. So I clear, install, or you can call it an incantation if you believe in it, using those words. Or you can use it as, say, an exorcism or a clearing for clearing what you don't want. So you clear what you don't want and you install what you do want. So the pendulum for me is an extension, like an antenna, but I even don't use the pendulum anymore. I just know immediately I tune in to the situation, I get the answer. So I would think, putting a pendulum on a tripod, why would you do that? Are you asking the pendulum to be like a Ouija board to move independently from you? To me, that's too paranormal. I like the belief that the paranormal is the normal. We just haven't tuned into what's really normal. We haven't expanded our energy field, so everything that we consider paranormal is absolutely normal. It's just another energy dimension that we're allowing ourselves to tune in all the way up, all the way down, including whales, dolphins, ETs, animals, extraterrestrial, galaxies. Anything and everything can be contacted through using a pendulum, which is what the question you asked before was, can we use this to communicate with ETs? Yeah, you can. I mean, why not? Although I probably would use a crystal skull or other modem to do that or medium to do that. But yes, of course you can. Because like the attraction of an entity to your aura, because you're on the same frequency, when I had my first crystal skull experience, I had a conversation with the crystal skull as if it were a living entity, because it was. And I said to the crystal skull, how come I can talk to you? And it said, well, because you're on the same frequency as I am. And I said, so what are you doing in a crystal skull? Don't you miss having arms and legs? And it said, no, I have a caretaker. I wanted to go for a swim in the sea. I just was in the sea. I just told my caretaker what I want to do. And he said, I wanted to come and visit the whales. And I told the caretaker I wanted to come on this journey. And here I am, and I get to talk to you. So I said, who are you? He says, I'm an interdimensional traveler that's using this crystal skull as a way to communicate. So I said, well, can you communicate with whales and dolphins? He said, yes, they're on the same frequency. So I said, well, if I can communicate with you, can I communicate with whales and dolphins? He said, absolutely. It's like a radio station, everything on the same frequency. You're tuned into it. You can talk to them. So in that particular case, it was using a crystal skull. That's the method I used there. But it could be, a crystal that you hold in your hand. You can use that for channeling or for your connection. You can use a pendulum to do it, by asking yes or no, which is more simplistic. It's a slower way of doing it, because if you're using a crystal like a crystal skull or receiving guidance, you're getting full body communication. You're actually getting a download, so to speak, that you then translate into words. So if you were doing it by a pendulum, it would be much slower, but it certainly can be done.
How does this affect people who are empaths and picking up energy as they go along every single day, no matter where they are?
That's the tribe I work with. So if you're an empath and you feel overloaded, you need to get hold of me right away. I'm an empath, and so the first thing that you need to figure out is what's yours and what's somebody else's. And also what's your family's and what's your society's and what's your religion. So what I'm saying is that as for most empaths, they're running all this energy, planetary, extraterrestrial. They're running every energy field you can imagine because they're empathic to it, all of it. So the first thing we do is we install a rheostat. We turn it all down. And in fact, for me, I'm an empath when I want to be an empath. If you ask me a question, I become an empath. If you ask me to do some clearing for you, I'm an empath. You ask, you receive. If you don't ask, I'm not an empath. In other words, I'm shut off. I'm not broadcasting and receiving unless I'm in being asked a question or I'm in divine service. Otherwise, I'd be overwhelmed. I'd be trying to process too much. And even though I've been doing this for many, many years, I'll give you an example. I've been suffering from a bad back for years, and I was working with another empath, and they said, well, you need to realize that this is from past lives, and it's got nothing to do with you. You've been carrying energy from being a shaman in past lives. Why don't you release it and let it go? So I did. I used the technique that she gave me, and I released it. Immediately, my back healed. Just almost instantaneous. Now, for me, I've been helping other people clear. I teach people how to clear the bioenergy field. I've been doing all this work. But there was something in my subconscious from the past life and previous lives that I didn't know and I couldn't get to. So it's really good to work with somebody who's been down that path and has learned how to do this. So that's why I encourage you, if you're an empath, please get hold of me. And if you don't want to work with me in the sense that, well, you don't have a lot of money, then head over the energydetective.ca website, look in for the deep clearing in the left-hand column. It's a 21-day clearing. It's free. And just do the work and get the results, and you'll learn how to manage your bioenergy field and clean yourself up. And so you'll know what's yours and what's somebody else's, which is really important to do. So, yeah, if you're an empath, don't become overwhelmed. You have a gift, but use it wisely.
When you talk of frequency, Ron wants to know if you believe or use tuning forks.
Yeah, tuning forks. The whole world we live in is all frequency. It's all, sound is a frequency. The third dimension is a crystallization or condensing of frequency. Everything is frequency all the way up and all the way down, from this to ETs to extraterrestrials. And when you're on that frequency, then healing can occur. So, if it's a tuning fork and I ring the tuning fork and it's the right frequency to clear what's in my body that needs to be cleared with that frequency, then my body will resonate inside with that frequency. It could be my muscular structure. It could be my skeletal structure that resonates with that frequency, and the clearing happens. So when energy matches energy, the two can't coexist. So, it's interesting because, when it comes to entities, it's like energy is attracting like energy. But when it's in the healing area, an energy match with another energy, they two can't coexist. So it cancels the other one out. So that's why you can broadcast energy and you can reuse radionics with dowsing and send healing energies at the right frequency that will cancel that out. And that was proved scientifically, if we want to go back to science, by a scientist who was using a microscope, and he realized that when he figured out the vibrational frequency for a certain disease and disorder, and he broadcast that frequency, that virus would cease to exist. It would literally disintegrate in front of his eyes. So all this is scientifically based. So yeah, tuning forks are great. Use them. Any sound frequency is a beautiful way to heal because your mind can't grasp it. That's why I like to use the quantum sound healing technique, is because your brain generally wants to make a story up, and the story gets in the way of the healing. And sometimes our story to us is more important than the actual healing. And so the sound bypasses the rational brain. It goes to the subconscious and does the clearing. You don't have to know what the clearing was, what it was all about. You may have a flash or a night sweat, or you might have intuition, but it just does the clearing of the lower frequencies. So sound, we will find in the future that sound and light healing will be the advanced way of healing people. Absolutely. And by the way, there's a sound and energy healing closed Facebook group that I manage online, so check it out. Put in Facebook, sound and light healing. And while you're there, look for the Dowsing Healing closed Facebook group as well, and join us there. There's nearly 3,000 people that are communicating and learning how to do the things I'm talking about on this show.
There are so many techniques that people use regarding the paranormal, and some people use their own intuition, which includes being an empath. Other people use different types of scientific, or what they believe is scientific equipment. I don't believe a lot of these paranormal teams when they say they are committing any type of scientific method inside their investigation. But when you look at it, do you believe, and this goes to our listener Robin's question, do you believe there is within each of us the ability to use these methods, whether it's dowsing, whether it's pendulums, whether it's our own intuitive abilities, to really communicate with something that is not normal on our own plane?
No, absolutely. That's the whole point of what I've been saying all the way along. If you're on the same frequency as an ET, an extraterrestrial, or any other living entity, or even a rock or a stone or a tree, you're on that frequency, or a dog or cat or a plant, you can communicate with it. It's just that straightforward. There's nothing complicated about this, nothing whatsoever. And, that's what we're moving towards. We're moving towards being empathic, where we don't even have to have radio shows because we can read each other's thoughts. I mean, when we get to that point of view, we better have pretty clear thoughts. But we manifest, it's not... In the world we live in, we manifest every single day. We're the best manifestors you can imagine. With every thought, word, and deed, we manifest the world individually and collectively around us. So it behooves you to be careful about what you're thinking, because you're creating the world you live in. And most people don't understand that. And dowsing intuition allows you to be able to understand this and take control of your life. And you have a choice in every moment. Do I want to stay entrained into the common beliefs of humanity, which is fear, doubt, shame, guilt, that I have to do this, I have to fit into this paradigm, or I have to believe this religion, or I have to show up this way, or I have to be a scientist, or I have to interpret this world in this way? Or do I want to be a free agent? Do I want to be the master of my own destiny? Do I want to take back my personal power? Do I want to stand in my truth? Do I want to learn how to be a sovereign human being? And do I want to create the world that I want to inhabit in and help other people create that world? And that world has more ease and grace. I'm in the right place at the right time to meet the right people. I'm in the zone. It becomes effortless. Who doesn't want that in their life? Who wants to continue to struggle? I mean, we're divine human beings. Why would we incarnate and then go through this long path of learning through believing that we need to suffer in order to learn, or we have to work hard and just to succeed, or all these belief systems that we picked up which are completely erroneous? Why don't we step into the truth of who we are and manifest what we want, individually and collectively? To me, there's no other choice. Why would you choose anything other than that?
Now, you had mentioned about, one day there may not be a need for radio shows like this because we'll be able to communicate freely with our minds. So do you believe we are right around the corner then from some sort of telepathic breakthrough?
Well, we are already telepathically. I mean, you can walk, person walks into a room, you either, you can pick up on their vibration right away. Either they make you want to run or you feel that you want to meet them, and some people just command a room, so they're already communicating to you telepathically. You're already picking up on their vibrational frequency. You're not getting a full download of what they're saying. But, if you're connecting with an ET, he's not speaking to you in English. He's transmitting to you telepathically, and you are translating it into English. So energetically, if you're dealing with ETs or having an extraterrestrial experience, you are already telepathically communicating. That's the only way you can do it. So, if you're channeling, you're telepathic. If you're having an aha, it's telepathic. If you know before the person's going to phone you, before the phone rings, you're telepathic. So we're already in that bandwidth. It's just that we aren't allowing ourselves to be more in touch with it. So we've trained our minds to be right brain, which is scientific methodology, and that has to be, proved that way. But, the whole brain is to allow the intuition to be equally as valid, and on the right brain as the left brain. And now you have whole brain decision-making. You have the whole brain capable of receiving and translating communication at every bandwidth, a vibrational level, from the lowest level to the highest level. So from, a rock all the way to a super galaxy.
Have you tested out any telepathy with other people, maybe who are empaths, who can pick up energy a little bit more than the regular person?
No, not really. I'm not interested in those sorts of things. To me, that's like playing a game. For me, telepathy happens when I need it, and I rely on it and use it to work with other people. So I can read their auric field. I can understand what's going on with them. I can get it right away. So it's not something I want to mess with or play with. It's not a parlor game for me. It's my livelihood. It's who I am. It's how I interact with my universe. So to me, it's a sacred a way of being. It's my connection to source. So it's something I don't want to use like a Ouija board and play around with.
So how far away do you think we are from not even needing our voices anymore, just being able to transmit messages right to our brain?
Well, I think, I'm sure many people on this call have had the experience of, knowing when somebody passed over before you found out after the fact, or had a visitation from somebody who was passing over, or came back from a near-death experience, or knew that somebody was phoning them before the telephone rang. I mean, there's so many incidents that happen in what we call our normal life, that it's a foregone conclusion that we're moving towards this.
Are we acceptable of that, though? Are we accepting of the fact that maybe we aren't using our brain to our full capacity? Because, let's face it, we sometimes know when situations are going to be difficult, when things are going to happen. I remember I worked at a business where when I pulled into the parking lot, even though I was still 150 feet from the door, I was already picking up the energy radiating from the building of what kind of day it was going to be, whether it was going to be a good day or whether it was going to be a very tense day. And I think everybody has been in that situation, picking up the phone saying, oh, there's Grandma on the phone, and you pick up and it's Grandma. I'm not too sure about that. Maybe that's just straight coincidence.
Well, maybe it's coincidence. Coincidence is just another way of talking about synchronicity, which is synchronicity is all around you. It's in every breath and every moment. The thing is that if it's not happening in your life, you're not tuned into it because you're broadcasting on a different channel. You're dealing with all your thoughts and preconceptions and scientific rational belief system or a belief system from when you were raised as a child, or unresolved conflict or trauma, or near-death experience, or God knows what all, or ET experience of being abused, or whatever's in the way of you being in the moment, being still, and having that synchronicity, that still voice speak to you in that moment, which allows you to connect on every dimensional level, which frees you from the bondage of, of the life that we're leading, which is, literally locked into the matrix. So, it's a human choice. Do you want to be locked into the matrix and, be operating on the lowest common denominator? Do you want to operate your body on a remote control, or do you want to take over your Earth body like a spacecraft, like a UFO, and be able to operate this, the controls? Do you want to fly your own spaceship? Because that's what it is. Your body is your spaceship for planet Earth, this third dimension. So, for example, you going to work, I would love to have known you. I would have said, Dave, here's what you do. Before you go to work, this is how you clear yourself so that you're not affected by that energy. Here's how you clear the building of all that energy. And here's how you clear all the people in the building before you go to work. And guess what? You go to work and the whole energy in the building is completely different. Why? Because you took on your God-given right to change the energy, because you don't want that in your world. That's what I'm talking about. So instead of being a victim, why not be the actor in your own play, in your own reality? So I'm getting passionate about it because why not? Why not do this?
Yeah, but most people live their life reactionary rather than causing the action. It's easier.
Yeah, then stop it. I love, that whole thing that, coming into a coach and he's saying da, 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 and he says, well, just stop it. I know it sounds crude, but stop it. Just stop it. It's your choice. Do you want to come from human mind consciousness locked in the matrix, or do you want to step out of the matrix and learn how to manage your bioenergy field, take back your power, stand into truth? The choice is yours, and it's your choice in every single moment, because every moment you're going to have something good, bad, or ugly show up in your life, and you have that decision. Am I going to go to fear, doubt, shame, guilt, trauma, oh, poor me, or am I going to see this as an opportunity to step into ease and grace and to deal with the energy and move it through my body, learn from it and let it go? Or am I going to let it be trapped in my body, which leads to disease and disorder, and have to deal with it later? It's your choice. It's our choice. It's every human's choice.
But in the social media life now, it's easy to hide that.
Well, yeah, everybody's hiding. If it's true that 75% of the population is 50% more intrusion into their energy field, then most of us, 75% of the population is, working at half their bioenergy field. So they're half asleep, so to speak. They're like zombies.
Is that easy to cure, though, when everybody else is doing it? Because we are a pack society.
Yeah, of course it is. That's what the 21-day clearing is all about. You learn how to clear yourself, and when you clear yourself, you can also say, when I clear myself, I clear my family of origin, I clear my patriarchal lineage, I clear, and when you clear, you're clearing back 7 generations in your past lives, and you're clearing 9 generations into the future. You literally, there's no time and space when you're clearing and doing dowsing and energy work. Why wouldn't you do that? It creates, you get to live in a more benevolent world, more prosperous. Magic shows up in your life. What other people call magic is second nature to you. You live a blessed life. And that's what it means for you to step out of the matrix. Why would you want to be confined in somebody else's reality any longer than you have to, especially when you know there's a way out? And the way is just as simple as going over to the energydetective.ca site and looking in the left-hand corner for the deep clearing protocol, signing up for it. It's free. Do the 21-day clearing. It's, 64 statements that you need to say, spinning the pendulum counterclockwise to clear what you don't want, then install what you do want. 21 days, it becomes a habit. It starts to run in your subconscious. Your energy field changes, and you have a much easier way to move through your life. And if you need me to help you, I'm available. You can hire me to, put some rocket fuel to make it that change and transformation from where you are to where you want to be much quicker. And we can do some deeper work by removing emotional trauma, core fractures, or any other non-benevolent energies that are in your field that come from your belief system, past, present, future, past life, ET contact, or whatever. Help you learn how to clean up yourself. Because once you learn how to do this, it's really simple. You can go and help other people do it. And now we have the multiplier effect, and we live in a more just society. Our neighbors love us. And, it just has a multiplier effect, and ultimately will change the planet.
Where does intuitive ability come in on this, though? Because a lot of people out there do not know they are intuitive. A lot of people out there do not believe in it. Yet there are many people who teach intuition or psychic mediumship who believe that everybody has the ability to go and communicate.
Yeah, everybody has the ability to dowse. As I said, dowsing is training wheels for guidance on demand or intuition. It's a way of you trusting it. So if you have to trust your guidance, it's like surrendering. It's like a suspension of disbelief. If you are coming from a rational mind with a scientific belief system, Earth, is to get as many toys before you die, or, to go to university, get a job, get married, collect toys, and then you die. I mean, if that's what you think life is all about, then stick to it. But if you want to do something more than that, if you want to have control over your life, then learning how to connect to Source, to the divinity of who you are, allows you to step into a brand new way of being in the world. And it is so amazing that I would wish that on everybody. And it starts with you being able to suspend your disbelief and follow that still voice inside of you when you're quiet, when you're meditating, or you have that aha, that gut feeling, and you act on it and it's right, then you have a little bit of trust. And the second time it happens and you trust it and it is positive, you trust it more. And now you're starting to build that relationship with your guidance where you're now able to trust it. The more you trust it, the more the flow, the more appreciation, the stronger the guidance. And before you know it, you're on your way, and it becomes second nature. I don't sit there and somebody phones me and says, on the healing hour, and people say, what's going on with me? I tune into their energy field. I mean, it's automatic. Why? Because I have a compassion and desire to help them. I just turn on the intuition and boom, it's there. And that comes because I've trusted my intuition. I've had so many miracles happen in so many lives and so much feedback that I've got to trust it. And the more that I trust it, the more I rely on it, the more I have great gratitude for it, the stronger it becomes. And so now it's full blown. And now I get to communicate with whales, and I get to communicate with dolphins. Not that I do it every moment of the day, but when I'm swimming with the dolphins, I can get communications from them. Or with a horse, I can get communication from the horse. I just tune into the horse. It's another way of being that's far more exciting than living in the Matrix.
We only have about 3 minutes left with you tonight. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. When it comes to dealing with young children with their own empath abilities and their own intuition, how do you promote talking about it as a parent?
Yeah, great question. If you have any doubts about this, whether you have rainbow children, crystal children, indigo children, all these kids are full blown when they came through. They have all these psychic abilities, intuitive abilities. Society's generally not ready to even understand them, let alone have a schooling, a societal structure in order to make them welcome on planet Earth. So while I wasn't welcome in the 1945 when I was born because the planet wasn't ready for me and the parenting wasn't available and the society didn't understand who I was, these kids are even more advanced. And so if you're a parent and you have these special kids, please Do not put them on Ritalin. Do not take them for a psychiatric assessment. First of all, head over to www.rainbowchildrensnetwork.ca. It's on my Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy.ca site. Take a look at the videos there. Look up on Facebook, the Rainbow Children's Network .org, and check it out. It tells you how to work with these children. And coming up this summer, we're going to have a Rainbow Children's Camp where we actually teach the children how to work with each other and how to help the parents and grandchildren be able to work more comfortably with these children. Now, these children are here to teach their parents and society. That's not to say that they don't need parenting and they don't need boundaries. Of course they do. But they're generally far more advanced and far more able to understand the full spectrum of human emotion and sometimes get overwhelmed with what's going on around them, which leads to all sorts of diagnoses, which, causes them to be put on drugs or disabilities or whatever. So that's what I really encourage parents is to learn about, even just Google Rainbow Children or Indigo Children. Doreen Virtue has a lot of good information on that. Learn what it is, or even phone me toll-free, 1-866-369-7464. That's my toll-free number. Have a conversation with me. I love to work with parents and help them understand these sorts of problems. Like, why does Johnny remember his past life with Christ? Why is he having these nightmares? What's going on with Johnny or one of your children? I can help you. I'd love to help you understand these children. They're a blessing. They are here. They're here to change the planet, to take us into another evolutionary step. So let's make them welcome on planet Earth.
My friend, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight, and I really look forward to hanging out with you at the 2018 Caribou Paracon, September 28th to the 30th in 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. It's going to be fun, Tyson. Thank you.
And thank you for having me on the show.
All right. Rich Giordano from the Paranormal Code coming up after this break.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Moran, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We're lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
There's stories, then there's the truth. Do any of us really trust the news anymore? This is Jamie Sexton, owner of Rebel Planet News. The third Thursday of every month, I appear on spacedoutradio.com to bring you the truth you deserve, without mainstream media lies or alternative media fear-mongering. We'll get to the heart of the story and deliver the truth you are seeking. So come join us here for the Rebel Planet at spacedoutradio.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories.
From the mile-high state of Colorado, sharing our signal around the world, I invite you to Spaced Out Sundays. Hi, I'm Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm closing out the week by taking you on a paranormal journey to the world of the weird. Ghosts, aliens, psychic phenomena, I will hit it all in your questions too. So let us highlight the paranormal for you. So come join me for Spaced Out Sundays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
A child grew up
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, we have Johnny Enoch coming in. For those of you who don't know who Johnny is into a lot of things. Metaphysical, he's a hypnotherapist. Also helped me start this show back in 2014. He's the dude who convinced me to do it. So we're going to have Johnny on tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network, including the Fringe.fm. Thank you so much for tuning us on in. We're all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also watch us live on Periscope.tv. If you're wondering where we store our archives, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. We would totally appreciate if you hit the subscribe button on that. Don't forget to leave a comment. I usually comment back. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to some Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read The Encounter online, or watch great videos from UFO Seekers Contact TV, and so much more. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Tautochrone. Tautochrone is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night, right here on the mighty SOR. Now, still waiting to get a hold of Rich Giordano, who is supposed to join me. He's not picking up his Skype. This is the second time in a row. We're going to have to literally razz the living hell out of him. Rich, where are you hiding? I know you had the show on. I know you were supposed to be here. We talked like an hour ago. It's like, yeah. I'm like, you're not going to fall asleep, are you? Just like you did. And he's like, no, I'll be there. Guess what? There's no Rich. So we're going to open up the phone lines to you. 1-702-302-4556. That's 1-702-302-4556. If you want to call in any topic you want to talk about tonight, you just call on in at 1-702-302-4556. Now, Tyhson Banighen, who was our guest the last 2 hours, he is going to be taking part and be one of our speakers at the 2018 Caribou Paracon. This will be taking place September 28th through 30th. We are going to be putting tickets on sale very, very soon, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're on the West Coast or thinking of needing a holiday or something, we're going to have tickets going on sale very, very soon. Joining Tyhson will be Grant Cameron, Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison. If you're coming from the States, either have an enhanced driver's license if you're driving across the border, or make sure you have a passport. Don't forget that, and give yourself plenty of time to get either or. I don't know how long it takes to get a passport in the U.S. In Canada, you could rush it to about 10-14 days. But make sure you have the proper identification if you're coming from across the border, because we would love to have you here. And I think you'll enjoy it here, too. The weather's going to be nice. For a lot of our American friends, make sure you dress warm. Make sure you dress warm. But we're going to have a heck of a time September 28th through 30th at the first annual Caribou Paracon, brought to you by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. So it's my birthday month. My birthday's on the 24th. And that means I have 22 days. 22 days before I have to do the One Chip Challenge. Now, for those on Periscope, I'm just reaching back to get the box. Catherine, who does all of my social media, she decided it would be funny to get me to do the One Chip Challenge. Now, if you haven't seen these, I suggest you go on YouTube. This thing is crazy hot. Crazy hot. I don't even know how many Scoville units this thing is. I'm trying to look on the box here to see if it actually has the Scoville units. Now, I like hot stuff. I really do. Oh, this is kind of funny. Just looking at the expiry date on this. Best before April 2018. We're going to eat it anyways. I've been holding off on this thing. We're going to eat this. Not right now. Not right now. But this is the package it comes in. A little triangular package. So, it gets its hotness from the Carolina Reaper. Hottest pepper on the planet. This is what it says inside the box. The chip in this box is made with the hottest chili pepper on the planet, the Carolina Reaper, created for the sheer pleasure of intense heat and pain. Subjects can expect short-term loss of speech, followed by extreme profanity, heavy breathing, enhanced sinus functions, and impaired vision from heat-induced tears. Fear the Reaper, and consider yourself warned. So, the rules are this. Apparently, when you eat this thing, you have to wait 5 minutes. Nothing to drink. How to enter the one chip challenge. Try it. Eat the chip. Don't say we didn't warn you. Prove it. Take a photo or video of your attempt to conquer the hashtag one chip challenge. Post it at Packy Chips on social media. And include hashtag one chip challenge and sweeps to be added to the Packy Wall of Fame, or of Infamy they call it. We're going to have to do this. Every submission enters you for a chance to win one of 3 grand prizes. Winners will receive a handmade custom neon sign of the Packy Reaper Warrior. Oh, that would be awesome. And a year's supply of Packy Chips. I want that. I want that. I totally want that. This is so worth it now that there's a prize on the line. So we're going to film that. We're definitely going to film that. This is so stupid. Last week I did win a hot wings challenge at the local pub. I sat there for 5 minutes with my mouth watering, burning. But I got some pretty hot sauce in my fridge right now. The hottest one I have, if you're a hot sauce aficionado like I am, the hottest one I have is about 1.5 million Scoville units. It's called Aubrey's Scorpion sauce. It hurts. It really hurts. But we're going to do that. May 24th. Ian Holt will join me, because it's his birthday too. We started that tradition last year, so we're going to do it. Oh, by the way, the ingredients for the Reaper: ground corn, canola oil, Carolina Reaper pepper, ghost pepper, sea salt, chipotle pepper powder, yeast extract. Doesn't sound very healthy. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Not tonight. Not tonight. Yes, Ron Bumblefoot THAL. You can Google him doing the one chip challenge, him and Mrs. Bumblefoot. So we're going to do this. We are going to do this, and we are going to have some fun with it. I don't think I'll puke. I really don't think I'll puke. But the main thing is we will get to it, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt bad. I got to make sure I got a washcloth here, so that way I can wash any excess residue off my fingers. Don't want to be getting the wet eye and all of a sudden decide that I better rub the eyes a little bit. No, that's dangerous. That's totally dangerous. But we're going to continue it. We're going to totally continue it. We're going to get it done right off the bat. It's going to be a lot of fun. 1-702-302-4556 is the number to call. Fully open to you. Fully open to you. Whatever you want to talk about tonight. Have you had any paranormal experiences recently? have you been seeing any more UFOs? I had an interesting week last week. I haven't mentioned this on the air yet, so I will mention it to you guys now. And I got another big mention for Bill Cardwell on the password. Paradise City, Bill. I can't really type it out right now, but Paradise City. I appreciate that. But last week, I was literally going outside after the show, because I normally take my dogs out after the show. And I will literally say this. I know a lot of UFO researchers will tell you, when you see those power-ups in the skies, they're like bright flashes. A lot of them will say, oh, that's just satellites. That's just satellites. And I buy Rich Giordano's rule that if it's 2 hours after sunset, there isn't enough sunshine that up high to cause the sun to reflect off any satellite for a brief moment, shining it out. So I go outside with my dogs, and I look up and I see this bright flash in the sky. What I like to call a power-up. Now, being a UFO guy, and because I want to believe, I sit there and I think, and I literally said out loud, I said, thank you. David Weatherly was on the phone with me, by the way, after the show while this is going on. I said, thank you. Can you do it again? And as soon as I said do it again, that same one flashed, but another one way behind it. So if you're using a ruler, it'd be about 9-10 inches in the sky. All right? Both of them flashed at the exact same time. Tripped me out. Absolutely tripped me out. I was like, that is awesome. And David's like, man, I wish I was there. I'm like, yeah, dude. You got to come up here. David's going to be speaking at our 2018 Paracon as well. He'll be coming up from Las Vegas for that. And one of the things that David wants to do is actually he wants to get here a little bit earlier. He wants to get here a little bit earlier than the event starts. The reason why he wants to is he is literally sick and tired of hearing all of these cool places that we have gone and that we have up here. And David wrote a book about the 10 most haunted dolls that are supposed to be out there. And one of them, Mandy, is in the museum about 100 miles away from me, 150 miles north of me. That far? About 120 miles. So it's about 200 kilometers, if that. No, 120 kilometers, if that. 2-hour drive. Anyhow, he wants to go see that one, so we're going to line that up for him. Now, Mandy is a weird-looking doll. Weird-looking doll. Old, about 110 years old. Had the porcelain face that's cracked down the middle, one little piece out of it. It is a weird, weird doll. Both Glenn Ferguson and Mike Morin had situations with that doll where they were like put into a trance. Mike actually got sick, ran out of the museum, and almost into traffic while vomiting. He tells a good story of that. Glenn just got into a trance, and he ended up running outside and vomiting as well. The power of the doll. So David wants to come up for that. But we're going to try and get him into a couple other locations around here. There's one location that's a little taboo. And that location is a plane crash that happened here around 1967-68. Really wasn't a plane crash. It was an explosion in the sky. Now, if I read the legend right of what happened, there was a couple on board, and when they got home, the wife was filing divorce papers. So the husband didn't like that. Before the flight, he put a bomb in his bag, and the plane blew up, killing everybody. So we got to go out and find the plane. Now, the plane has been found. We're not going to be the first ones to find it, obviously. But it's never been investigated. So we're going to go out there and investigate that. We're going to find that this summer. That's part of our goal. One of the issues with going to find that plane, though, and apparently the tail section is separated by about 3/4 of a mile to a mile away. So they are in different areas. What we got to do is we got to find that tail section. But the area where it is, and I've been out to the area, not where the plane actually is, but like the roads that kind of lead to it. And it is all thick, dense forest. And from what I've heard from Bazooka Joe in that area, my Bigfoot guy, there are a lot of big animals in there. Big, big animals. Lots of grizzly bears, lots of black bears, wolf packs, cougars, lynx, bobcat, moose, badgers, a lot of pissed off animals. So we're going to have to go in there, and we are going to have to try and figure out how to get in there. Now, the main fuselage we can get to. That we do know. We got to find the tail section, but that's an area that has never been investigated. The closest I have come to investigating that area was the old police station where they actually stored some of the bodies. All right? So when they collected the bodies, the morgue up here in the hospital was too small. They weren't ready for something like this. All right? And so they ended up sealing a lot of these bodies up in the cellar of the old RCMP station. So what happens here is they had about 20-30 bodies underneath the police station until they were all identified and, gone for their autopsies to figure out who they were, and then they were taken off. So about 1.5 years ago, we actually went into that police station and did a paranormal investigation. And we went down below where all the former jail cells were. It's like a workbench area now. Oh, there's a bunch of weird, strange curves in there. But they got this big square that is like a big steel door sitting on this cement wall. And that's where we found out that they actually stored the bodies in there. So we open up this door, and I'm standing there, and I'm thinking, do I go in? It's pitch black. Literally, cement floor. No windows, nothing. Cement walls. It's pitch black, and it is pure black. Okay, do you understand what I mean by pure black? Pure black is, like, if you've never been in a pure black room, you cannot see your hand in front of your face. It is actually pretty cool. So when we go with that, I'm debating whether or not to go in there. And as I'm having this debate, and literally I am looking in to this depth of blackness, I get this right in my face. Woo! And I jump back, and people are like, I actually swore when that happened. And I jump back, and everybody's like, what? I said, I just got heavily breathed on. Did you guys not hear that? And they were like, one person who was close to me did hear it. The other ones were investigating other areas, so they didn't really hear it. So I quickly grabbed my flashlight. I put my flashlight out where the noise was coming from, because it was coming just from the right of this square. And, of course, there's a cement wall right there. So that was kind of interesting. And I want to get back in there. And I think next time I may actually go in. Not that I'm a big thrill seeker or anything. Like, I'm not the type of guy who's going to bungee jump or go swimming with sharks because I'm a meal, not an appetizer.
But I'm going to go in there. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go in there and check that out. See what happens. Maybe get some really cool experiences. Really cool experiences. You never know. Somebody may want to communicate. And after all, isn't that what paranormal investigation is all about? The communication of it all? So we're going to go in there. Another place I want to try and get into here. It's on private property. But I was telling David about it. Was this Japanese internment camp that was up here. So during World War II up here in Canada, because we were at war with Japan, and they were part of the evil Axis with Germany and Italy, the Canadian government rounded up all of the Japanese that were in Canada, and they placed them in internment camps. So there are these buildings in the middle of the forest here, on private property, unfortunately, that have these Japanese internment camps. Yes, the camp is in BC, British Columbia here. So we are going to try and get in there. Like I said, though, it is on private property. I don't know if we'll be able to. But it'll be very interesting to see if we can, because this is once again a place that has never been investigated. I could just imagine people obviously dying in there. I'm not very educated on the topic. Just what we learned in school. And God, I'm 44 this year. I'll be 45. So let's go back a number of years. 28 years. And then, of course, I'm pretty sure there would have been people who died in there, innocently, tragically. It's disgusting that it actually happened, but I guess that was a sign of the times, and we can't look at that in a 2018 view. We have to look at that at a 1939 to 45 view. Either way, it was absolutely horrific for a lot of these families. And, you know, I think with this happening, and them being put in their own jail with armed guards, I would actually like to see if we can get in there. I know the vicinity of where it is. I believe there is a railroad track going right beside it. And the funny part about it was, during last year's forest fires, we had nothing to do up here, so me and my friends went and checked out where it was. We couldn't find out, we couldn't confirm. We thought we were at the location, although we couldn't confirm it. But if this is the place, it's eerie. It's like these lonely buildings just sitting there, doing nothing. So we have to see if we can get in there. We totally have to see if we can get in there and check that out. I wonder what the spirits are like in some of these internment camps. And maybe they're really off limits. Maybe that's something we shouldn't do. Because, you know, I can honestly say I wouldn't want to go paranormal investigating at like Auschwitz or some horrific place like that during World War II where the Nazis killed the Jews. I think that would be just wrong. Now, I'm sure there's people out there who've snuck gear in there, but to me, that's a little disgusting. So maybe the morality issue is we're probably not going to do it. As fun as it would be, you know, and that's being selfish. It's being very selfish. I think, you know, you have to take some legitimacy there and think, okay, is this the right thing to do? Would you do that? Let me know in the chat rooms. Let me know on Twitter. Is that some place you would want to investigate as a Japanese internment camp? Is it the right thing to do? We're even going to take your phone call. 1-702-302-4556 if you want to call in.
We don't do open lines very often, so now is your shot. 1-702-302-4556. Would you do that? Would you want to go into that place? Or is it just off limits because of the atrocities? Because, let's face it, it was a North American atrocity that the Japanese were rounded up like that, herded like cattle. Not as bad as what the Jewish people went through, obviously, and for obvious reasons. But you have to wonder. You have to wonder. Jade is saying, concentration camps are very heavy with energy. I was there as a child. So that's what I'm saying. Is this one of those taboo areas that you just do not want to go? Or probably shouldn't go? I'm very curious to see your thoughts. Very curious to see your thoughts. So you have to figure it out. For the sake of the investigation, it might be worth it, but when it comes down to the actual night of exploration, and I do believe that a Japanese family actually owns that property. So it might not be the right thing to do. But they may want some answers too. Maybe they will hear from relatives about it. Maybe they had relatives who passed away there. Or maybe it's much like a First Nations burial ground. It just shouldn't be disturbed. I think that's the way I'm leaning, personally. I really do believe that's the way I'm leaning. But like I said earlier, selfishly, it would be fun. It would be absolutely fun. So we're going to see where that goes. Absolutely, we're going to see where that goes. We went out to our Bigfoot station, our gifting site, last week. Myself, Bazooka Joe, and Bazooka Joe's dad, so Bazooka Sr. All pumped up to get there, man. Oh, we brought little SOR, too. All pumped to go in there. Feeling really good. Finally, we could drive there. There's still some snow along the sides and in the trees, about a foot deep. Couldn't fully get into my parking spot that I'm used to. And the area is still covered in snow, not the trees. We really had nothing move over the winter. All the little toy Hot Wheels cars are all in their same spots. The Slinkies haven't moved. The Christmas ornaments that we put up, they're still there. Still waiting for them to move. They didn't move. In a way, you go there when that stuff happens and you think, it's like when you're about to go on a roller coaster. It's never as bad as you anticipate. It's the exact same way. Like, you get in there and you're walking in there and you're thinking, gosh, I hope something moved. I really hope something moved. Come on, something move. Don't care. Just an ornament gone to another tree. Or one of the cars that was in the tree is now on another branch or on the ground with a snow hole dug out or something. That's what you're hoping for. Nope, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was terrible. Nothing there. I waited like 5 months for that. 5 months. Michael is asking, how close did the fire get to that area? The fire was started in that area. Probably, on a reality sake, the fire got probably within a couple miles. And they got fire breaks all over the place in there. So literally what they had to do was they had to tear down a bunch of trees that were Well, they had to build a fire line, a fire break. That's just the way it is. William Patterson in the chat room and Spreaker, thank you so much for joining us live for your first time in the chat room. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So the other weird thing that kind of happened is nothing out in the forest. But we are preparing for our next ghost hunt the next couple of weeks. So if you're ever up here and you want to take our tour, our schedule is on Facebook. You can go to our Facebook page. It's a 108 Mile Ghost Tour. Go give it a like if you could, along with Spaced Out Radio. But one of the really cool things about doing that ghost hunt is that we opened up a new building. And, I told you guys a story just last week about my little guy going into the room, into the bunkhouse room, and actually seeing a little boy under the table. So I'm very excited to get back in there and check it out. I want to investigate that room fully and see how it goes, see what we can get. We think there's a father and son in there. Now, one of the requests that was made by the ghost through the machines was that we got to go to the other side of the bunkhouse, which is locked, and apparently there's some things in there that they want brought over to their section. It's going to be very cool. Have to go do that. One of our listeners, Adnome, his real name is Adam, goes by Adnome. Got me in hot water last night. Right before the second hour with Geraldine Orozco ended, I figured, you know what, this is the night I will finally ask Adnome's question. And Adnome in the Spreaker chat room and sometimes on Periscope always asks a silly question about gnomes. And by God, if you've listened to this show long enough, you know I do have a fear of gnomes. All right? I have a big fear of gnomes. And I figured, you know what, I'll throw the guy a bone. Asked Geraldine his gnome question, which was, is Dave a gnome? Now, of course, I cringed and rolled my eyes over this. But all of a sudden, I got a text message from a very important person whom none of you have met on Spaced Out Radio, our investor. Now, for about 15 years, 16 years that I've known the investor, I've always called him Oompa Loompa or Garden Gnome, telling him that I need him to come scare the crows away or the birds away. And every time he'd call me some other name. Typical. But all in fun and all in jest. Well, guess who happens to be listening just as I asked Adam's question last night, which is, is Dave a gnome? So I get a text message about 10 minutes in to the third hour last night. And literally, it is from our investor, who was cheering and applauding Adam for the question, who was giving me an absolute hard time about it. So the investor today calls me up, laughing his head off, and he owns a bar and restaurant. He goes, Dave, I was in my office, and I screamed so loud, I was laughing so loud, he goes, my chef comes in, and he goes, what's wrong, boss? And he goes, nothing. He goes, payback is a bitch. He goes, I've waited 15 years for this moment, and finally I got it. So I absolutely got hammered on the phone with insults, all because of one of our listeners, Adnome. Adnome caused me a lot of pain today and a lot of grief. He was so happy, he even went and bought 2 rounds for the entire bar last night because he was feeling so satisfied by hearing somebody else call me a gnome. So, Adnome, I'll get you back. One way or another, Adnome, I will get you back. It's going to be a great, great run here coming up here very, very soon. So I'll give you the lowdown of what we are doing right now with Spaced Out Radio. As you guys heard me say very briefly the other night, I've had contractors coming in here to try and get a good quote on building our brand new studio because we are combining the money that we raised from the GoFundMe account, and we are combining that with our investor to get everything set up and ready. We're building an entire studio. I have to make a room. So if you're on Periscope, you see behind me, that's about 5 feet. So we have to build this. This room's going to be about 8 feet, maybe 10 feet by about 15 feet, because eventually we are going to have to make room for a producer. So it's going to be a pretty big studio. Real good studio. And we got to get the gear. The gear is, oh my God. You want to see expensive? Go look at radio gear. Go look at radio gear. It is terribly expensive. One machine is like $2,000. A mixing board that we need for what we are going to try and accomplish here. $2,000. It's like, my God. Now, $2,000 in the grand scheme of things is not a lot of money. But you never want to just fork out $2,000 on one piece of equipment. Sure, we'll do it on a truck or a car or an ATV or a boat. That's show-off stuff. But for a board? Nah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. It's just the way it is. We don't want to do that. But we're going to have to. So it's kind of exciting that the ball is rolling here. We are also in the process of getting our name, Spaced Out Radio, and our slogan, We Own the Night. We're in the process of getting some things done with that, getting new logos and t-shirts and everything. So we are going to be getting new t-shirts and hats here soon. And I believe the t-shirts this time around are actually going to have the We Own the Night on them. In some like catchy font. Because I think that's kind of cool. I think that's kind of cool. And, you know, so we're trying to develop a new Carl head for everything because that's just the way we need to do it. Don, are you now going to support Joe? What do you mean by that? Joe has his own thing going on with the Fringe.fm. He's doing an immaculate job there. Joe's a smart dude. So he comes in and gives me a hand and is part of our team, as well as doing his own thing with the Fringe FM. So he comes in and does Saturdays. We got Tessa coming in to do Sundays, okay, to take some of that pressure off of Joe so he doesn't have to cover it, because Joe sometime during the day actually has to sleep, maybe eat. We hope that he showers. Right? We hope that he showers. But the whole point is, we need to, get Joe on board, because Joe is an important part of what we are doing here moving forward. And he's ready to do that. I think he's ready to do that. Joe, with the Fringe FM, an immaculate talent. Joe needs help on his GoFundMe. Yeah, we'll definitely get that going. We'll be able to help. We'll be able to help. Who knows? Maybe we'll just buy the gear for Joe. We'll see how that goes. We will see how that goes. Joe is an amazing broadcaster. If you haven't heard Spaced Out Saturdays or his show before mine, Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM every Tuesday and Thursday, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, he's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Great broadcaster. So it's just something that we are going to be working on. There's so much to do right now. I literally have been in my office since 9 o'clock this morning. Came up for air a couple of times. Literally 12, 13 hours. That's just the way it is right now. It's nuts. Between myself, the investor doing his thing, Amy Martin doing her thing in getting us ready with the technology, it's going to be really cool because eventually, in a couple of weeks, Amy Martin's actually going to fly out here from Amy on the Radio. She's going to fly out here, and she is one of the most brilliant people I have ever met. And she is going to be helping set up the studio once we get walls up and insulation. Need that soundproof insulation. And a big thick door with a red light. Got to have the red light. Or the big on-air sign. We definitely have to do that. Definitely have to do that. But the ball is in motion. Everything is getting ready to go. Everything is moving the way it should. And it's all because you guys are pushing that. You guys are totally pushing that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And it's going to be a lot of fun as we take some steps forward trying to bring this show to that next level. So make sure you come along for the ride. Tell your friends. Tell your friends just the way it goes. Because it never hurts to just hang out and play. Thought of the Dave coming up right now. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question during the day, and it floats over from Facebook over to Twitter. And we ask you a question in regards to the Thought of the Dave. So today's Thought of the Day, because we had Tyhson Banighen on the show, was, what is your favorite way to deal with negativity in your life? And I want details. Well, we got some great answers today. We really did get some great answers today from our audience. So congratulations to all of you for doing that. It's been a lot of fun. By the way, Mike on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. What's at Spaced Out Radio's favorite town? Nome, Alaska. No, it's not. I'm sure there's good people up there, but I can say that's something that I'm sure there's gnomes running around there. So I'm definitely not going to be checking that out. Definitely not going to be checking that out. Unless there's good fishing there. They got good fishing, I will go there. River fishing, lake fishing, ocean fishing. I'm not sure where it is in Alaska. Remember the movie? What was it? The Fourth Kind? That was filmed there? That was kind of cool. About the owls and the greys that were kidnapping people. Maybe we should go to Nome, Alaska now. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's where we need to go. Nome, Alaska. All right, let's get to the Thought of the Dave. What is your favorite way to deal with negativity in your life? Let's get to some of the answers on Twitter. Dennis started off right off the bat with, none of your business. Dennis, what are you trying to get at there? What are you trying to get at? None of our business. Are you getting a little kinky there, buddy? Getting a little kinky there with the old Spaced Out Radio crowd? You knew I was going to read it. You totally did know I was going to read it. Giving you a hard time, Dennis. Thank you for participating. Janine says, when you have a cold, try and... Well, I got to find Janine's here. Powdered donuts. Okay, she split it into two tweets. Powdered donuts are the way to get rid of negativity, especially for some reason when you have a cold. Well, I got to tell you this. I almost agree with her on this because I love the powdered donuts. It's a weakness, like ice cream. Powdered donuts are the way to go. I know you could get them either at the gas station, you get like the pack of 6, or you go to the supermarket and you can get like the pack of 18 or 20 or whatever they can shove in there. Those little donuts are fantastic. Robin says, Tai Chi. Practice breathing techniques to bring everything down and into some sort of Zen mode. That works too. I've never been a Tai Chi kind of guy or martial arts type of person. I realize Tai Chi is different than martial arts like karate or judo, which my daughter does, and she could pretty much kick my butt, except I can't allow her to know that. But something to do with the whole concept of bringing you down, it's almost like a Reiki. Almost like Reiki, except more physical, more self-indulgent. Yoga, I should say, not Reiki, yoga. I'm not a yoga guy. It just looks so not me. When I look at myself in the mirror, I look and I think, damn, there is no way I'm doing yoga on that. No bloody way old Davey's doing yoga on that. So, Tai Chi for Robin. Glad it works for you. Marie, from Twitter, says, first you must become aware of what it is, as in the negativity. Is it truly you, or is your mind being hijacked by something unseen? To defend, break the thought. Remind yourself it could be a geometric energy attack rather than a parasite. Use triangles and shape chi with hands. Okay, I got to know this. Now I got to Google this. Chi. How do you shape chi with your hands? With hands. So I'm on Google right now looking at a picture. Oh, so it's like that. Kind of like when you're making shadow birds. It's kind of what it looks like. Shadow birds. Or when you open up like this. So it looks like the UN logo where you're holding the globe. I guess that's it. I don't know. I don't know. Moving on. B. Arthur says cheesecake. Cheesecake makes B. Arthur happy. Thanks, Maud, for dropping in. I don't think it's the real B. Arthur. Person's been snarking me pretty good in Twitter tonight. Kind of new to be snarking me. All right, Vinny. I don't often have negativity in my life. I tell negative people to bleep. Let's just say middle finger action. I hate shadiness. Liars. Refuse to deal with them. You get to set your boundaries, and you are the one in control. Tell the what's that word she used? Negativitators? Negativitators. It sounds like a Bill Cardwell password. Tell the negativitators to middle finger on your way out. So violent. So angry. Angry about that negativity. That you created your own word, Vinny. Negativitators. Although that is a good word. Somebody look that up. Now I got to go back to Google. Negativitators. Is that even a word? Apparently it is. Don't know which language it is. Let's define. Okay, it's not a word in the English language. I can tell you that. I just looked it up. Way to invent a new word there. That'll be in the dictionary in no time. Negativitators. Moving on here. Julien, or Julien, since from Quebec. You need to talk and talk a lot. Most important, try to identify the problem. Yes, I agree with that one. Because I really believe that the more you talk to people, the more you can sort your thoughts. That's the way it works for me. When I'm having issues, I love talking to people. I'm not one of these guys who bottles it all in. I like to talk to people. And the reason why I like to talk to people about it is because I just feel like it releases everything. So I agree with Julien there. Raging Bowl. Lots of meditation and a little whiskey never hurt either. Or if need be, avoid the source of negativity before throat punching becomes necessary. Throat punching. Who hasn't wanted to do that? Who hasn't wanted to do that? Sky Pilot. Honestly, I just say to Spaced Out Dave, I tend not to do, or just stay spaced out. Dave, forgot a comma in there. That's why commas are important. Honestly, I just stay spaced out, Dave. I tend to not deal with it. See, that's holding it in, though. You got to communicate. Try some of that Taipei stuff. Reiki. Hot shower. Casper Parks, former guest on this show, depends on what is happening. Sometimes it is simply allowing someone to vent, then move on to something more positive. Generally, after venting, I feel bad about it. Emotional balance is hardly taught anymore. Negativity is part of emotional structure. Like many things in life, emotions can become addictive. I've known people addicted to negativity, and emotional balance is important. This is very true. I mean, let's face it. We see it all the time now on social media. Have you noticed that? It is all over social media. The negativity. Fear porn. Fake news. Faux news. It's all over. People are fed up. Last one from Twitter comes from Disclosure Team Liverpool. Make a conscious decision to think the positive thoughts and surround yourself with people who see the glass as half full. Positivity. It's that simple. Let's move to Facebook here, where Jim Mallard from the Mallard Report, yes, the duck, comes in. Says you have to cut people out at times, even family. Just quit. Quit. Move on. Move forward. Say, I've had enough. Get rid of that negativity. I'm pulling myself out of that situation. That's what actually brought me up north. Got tired of the BS down where I lived from a few people. Just looked at it and just said, had enough. Made an entire shift. I feel better about that. Shoshana, usually just go on, but sometimes when I get really, really insane, I spell them back in the dirt where they came from. She doesn't like that negativity. She puts a spell on the negativity. Shame on you, negativity. Go back to the rock you crawled under from. Cindy, I have a great lifelong exposure to narcissistic, psychotic people in my life. Grey rock is my salvation. They should be teaching this in grade schools instead of how-to sex ed videos like they are doing now. Meditation should be taught. I would agree with that. Kids need to learn how to release rather than build up. Maybe that's the reason why we have so much anxiety and depression and ADD and ADHD and autism and whatever else comes into play. Maybe not autism. You're born with that. I apologize for throwing that one in there. We're going to move on here. Thank you so much for being on Space Out Radio and being with us tonight. Tomorrow night on the program, Johnny Enoch joins us. We call him Little Johnny Enoch around here. Likes to write with a Uniball 207 pen. Literally got about 50 of them in his house. Johnny is the co-creator of Spaced Out Radio. Handed over the reins to me about 6 months in. We're going to talk disclosure, consciousness, hypnotherapy, UFOs, aliens. We're going to run the whole gamut with Johnny tomorrow night starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. I want to say a big thank you to Tyhson Banighen for hopping on the first 2 hours of tonight's show. Tyson's website, energydetective.ca, if you want to check him out. Learn about dowsing, how to bring yourself down, 21-day cleanse. It is free on his website, so check it out at detective.ca. Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Lead guitarist of Sons of Apollo, formerly of Guns N' Roses. One of the greatest goatees you will ever see right now, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Big shout out to everybody who is listening at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you so much for tuning us in tonight. Really do appreciate you taking the time. Also want to give a big shout out to everybody participating on Twitter at hashtag SpacedOutRadio. In the Spreaker chat room, you were awesome. All over the place tonight in the Periscope chat room. You guys were fantastic. And, of course, the Veterans Club, the SOR Space Travelers. Thank you so much to everybody, the new listeners who joined us in the chat rooms as well. Really do appreciate you taking the time, sharing the show, telling your friends about it. We are growing all because of you. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.